It is a tremendous film and TV producer, New York Times best-selling author. So much I could talk about with this guy, DeVon Franklin. Man, welcome to the studio.
Yes.
We had you on, a week or two ago?
Yeah,
and you were great.
Thank you.
And your basketball knowledge was legit. So we said, okay,
let's get him in. Yeah, let's get him in.
Because we didn't get a chance to finish everything.
No, we didn't.
Right,
we had a lively conversation.
Yes.
No doubt about it. Now you're from the Bay Area, and the Warriors are your team.
Yes.
So last night you cried yourself to sleep as Steph scored 47 points, and they still took the L in a big game. How'd you feel last night? Just that after finding out that Clay couldn't play and, what happened?
Yeah, I felt like what the result was expected.
So you thought they weren't going to win because Chris picked that they were going to win last night.
I said I was against all logic.
Yeah.
There was no reason to pick them. Okay. But I just had a hunch it turned out to be indigestion. Something was telling me they were
Something was telling you, but it was the wrong something.
Right.
It was expected. I mean, when you don't have that kind of support, no matter who it is, no matter who's at the helm, you can't expect for 4 of your top players to pretty much be inactive or, not ready to go and expect the team to win against a team as quality and as strong as Toronto. So it was expected. It's still a bit of a letdown, but, we look forward to what's going to happen tomorrow night.
What'd you think of Steph's performance? Because we were arguing the first hour. I thought it was a masterpiece. 47 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists, led them in all those categories. And Rob Parker thought it was.
No, it might have been a masterpiece, but one you buy at Walmart, for $19.99.
One you buy at Walmart.
Well, because they didn't win.
Who in the history of basketball do you know? Have you looked at his stats?
Yes.
Since KD has gone out?
But it's not always about stats. It's about.
But check it.
Is it not about? Now, I always say this: sports has a short menu. Wins and losses.
And do you know what his record is? This is maybe the 3rd loss of Steph since the last 35 games that they have played when Steph played and KD didn't.
I got a better one for you.
Go ahead. Please. What's the better one?
The better one is in the NBA Finals.
Yes.
Without KD, they're 8-9. With KD, they're 8-1.
But hold on.
Those are those big numbers.
DeVon,
help me out now.
I'm going to ask you, what is KD's record in the NBA Finals
without
KD, without Steph?
Thank you.
We don't have time.
1-4.
So, but here's my point.
1-4.
But exactly. But here's the point. How in the world can any of us call a 47-point performance hollow? It doesn't. Yes, okay. So they took the loss. There have been many times when great players have done great things, didn't have the supporting cast, and okay, great. It doesn't take away from the greatness of what they did in the moment.
But you wouldn't.
He did everything he could to engage his team, to give his team a shot to win, and in that dynamic, right? When you need another player like a Klay Thompson, where your whole offense is built upon that kind of support.
Right.
When you don't have that role player, you have to have somebody else step up. And unfortunately, last night, no one else did.
And here's my only thing. Did Steph encourage that to happen, or was he too busy trying to play hero ball thinking, I got to score 80 points for us to win? And I'm saying getting other people involved, trying to figure out that me scoring, because we've seen these games before in the NBA. When one player scores a lot of points, we saw with LeBron last year in the finals, he scored 51, they lost. Michael Jordan scored 63 points against the Celtics many moons ago. They lost that game. You go look.
But there's been plenty of guys who score in their 40s and
But
wins,
you go look at the big scoring games, is what I'm saying. A lot of times, those don't register as wins.
I understand, but what we have to, last night has to be an asterisk. You have pretty much your center who's coming back from almost a season-ending injury. You have your, all-star, Klay Thompson, who cannot play. KD cannot play. Looney, major supporting player off the bench, cannot play. It has to be with an asterisk. So, also, when you look at how he played last night, if he didn't do what he did, they would have had no chance to hang in the game.
They had no chance.
Rob,
they lost by 14, and they never led in the game.
Let me ask you this:
Did they? They never led.
When Isaiah Thomas, the legend, scored, we still talk about it to this day. 25 points in the 3rd quarter on a bad ankle. They lost that game.
But
Why are we still talking about that? Was that a hollow performance?
No,
Of course
that was
not.
but that was a courageous performance.
But it was hollow. It didn't mean anything.
Given his circumstance, I'm
But
just
still,
saying it was courageous.
What about the circumstances Steph was under? He's playing with a dislocated finger himself.
Oh, stop!
And
stop.
All his other guys are hurt.
But here's the thing: if the shoe was on the other foot, and we were talking about another player that, for some reason, even though he's not playing, he keeps finding his name into all of the conversations.
But this is what I'm going to say.
if we're talking about him, you would not call it Holland.
If he played last night's game,
Actually,
you wouldn't call it Holland.
And
it would have been a sob story. Oh, well, he didn't have the supporting cast.
And he won. I'm talking about Steph. You guys would be ranting and raving today about what kind of player he is, how he did it without Steph, how he did it without KD. Without KD, without Clay, and oh my God, he's one of the greatest players ever.
He is. He is one of the greatest players ever.
Would you? Am I wrong on that?
You're not wrong, but there's a difference.
So
between,
all I'm saying is,
yes,
when you win, you're gonna heap all that praise, and you're the big guy. All I'm saying is, yes, he scored a lot of points, but that wasn't a winning formula. That wasn't.
Look, it
but
wasn't.
There is no formula.
Right, there was no one else to go to. As good as Draymond Green is, he is not a great offensive scorer.
No, and he had a lot of turnovers last night. He did not do well handling the ball.
There was no one else that could really score.
So Steph really basically is an ugly chick who needs a lot of makeup to look good.
No, he's like any
I'm talking about the other
player. He's like any other great player.
Thank you.
He's like any other great player. You have to have a team. Why is LeBron, everyone's so focused on, is LeBron going to get the support he needs to win? Because you got to have support.
That sounds like a mic drop, DJ Tyson. Seriously. He coming in here dropping mics. That was a mic drop.
That wasn't a mic drop.
All we're talking about is LeBron. Who's he going to get? Who's he going to get if he's all that?
He don't need nobody.
Is he an ugly pig that needs makeup too?
But to your point, here's the thing. If he had won, yeah, you're right. We would be lauding the performance.
Oh my God, it would be terrible.
The only thing I'm pushing back on is calling it hollow. Like, I watched today on your good colleague
with Skip Bayless.
And I like
this
Skip.
This is the black Skip Bayless.
Let me tell you something. I like Skip, but today
got to you.
Today
right?
was the first episode that I've watched in a very long time where I said, Skip, you really. You're drinking this Max Kellerman drink right now.
I'm mad because
I don't understand what you're saying right now. That makes no sense.
Right. I'm mad because the Patriots people picked up Max Kellerman over me for the hater of the year.
That's right.
I'm very disappointed. I can't believe that.
DeVon, let's get to something. We were talking about it in the break when you came in. You're from Oakland. Obviously, you're a Warriors fan, a Steph fan. Why is there this dislike, this, I don't want to say hatred.
Don't use hatred.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the right word.
Andre Iguodala alluded to it.
Yeah.
Players disrespecting Steph Curry.
Yes.
Other people disrespecting Steph Curry. What's your opinion on why that is?
Because I know him, and he is truly one of the most humble people you will ever meet. If you didn't know he was one of the greatest athletes in the world, when you talk, you wouldn't know. Because he doesn't wear that. Right. It's not about that. He is truly a genuine, awesome person. So basketball, so much of the conversation is around ego. And the guys that sometimes wear the biggest ego get the most conversation, and in some instances get the most praise. Even the conversation about who's the greatest basketball player, at the end of the day, greatness is going to have to be defined on how I play with the team.
Right.
It does, and Steph understands that, and he was always undervalued and was always the underdog. No one ever gave him a shot. You're too short, you're too small, you don't have what it takes to make it. But when he started breaking through and changing the game, he did it his way.
Do you think it has something to do to, and we talked about this, he grew up privileged, his dad was a NBA player. No, I'm just saying. Would they look at him like, okay, he came from that, came from money, had a really nice life, grew up in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Different paths than most guys who make it to the NBA, where that isn't their route in.
I think honestly, a lot of it has to do with his physicality. He physically, he's not has that imposing physique. You know, his strength is he says, look, I'm going to play my game in the way I play it,
right,
and I'm going to do something different, and I'm going to use my physicality to my strength, and it's not the same as what we usually say. Oh my goodness, you know, he doesn't have the strength of a LeBron or, you know, that kind of that muscle like a Westbrook, and we love to say, oh, that's great. And I think a lot of times, I don't think it has much to do with his background, in my opinion. I just have to.
No, I'm asking because I just wonder how the other players relate to him.
I think everyone who has played with him feels like Andre.
Boogie Cousins came out and said, DeMarcus Cousins said he's the humblest superstar he's ever been around, to echo what you said.
Absolutely. And I think that, you know, we live in a business that, you know, in a time, especially when we're talking about basketball, where it's a loud conversation. Right. And he's just saying, listen, I hear the conversation, but I got to do something different. And as a result, his greatness speaks for itself. I mean, what other player do you know at the pinnacle of their powers would say, you know, I'm so committed to team, I think
that narrative is false.
I don't think so.
And I'm going to tell you why.
Why?
Here's my pushback to you. When they choked down that championship up 3-1 to LeBron James, they felt like they needed KD to get there. It wasn't the kindness of his heart.
It's not,
they just won 73 games.
I agree with you. I'm not saying there's no kindness, not benevolence. What I'm saying, though, is you still have to put your ego aside.
I understand that,
Rob.
But if you are that guy, why are you letting another man into your bedroom if I'm the guy? I don't need help.
First of all,
I don't need help.
That's not. But that's first of all, exactly. That analogy is not even accurate. Secondly,
I'm talking about letting somebody in on that.
Everybody wanted. Why is LeBron James trying to bring Anthony Davis into his world?
Because he can't win by himself.
Well, why did Dwayne Wade, who had already won a championship in Miami, welcome LeBron James to Miami?
Because he told LeBron, "You got to come to me."
No, stop.
Yes, you do. You got to come to me. I'm not going to Cleveland, and that's why Dwayne was good with it. Because if it was the other way around,
whose team did it become?
But it doesn't matter. I'm telling you,
it became LeBron's
team. Wade said to LeBron in practice, "You got to take over."
That would have never happened if it was the other way around. Of Dwayne Wade leaving Miami to go where he already won and established himself in Miami to go join LeBron James. He wouldn't do it, and Chris Bosh wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because nobody wants to go to Cleveland.
No guys aren't built like that. I'm not going there.
They didn't want to be in Cleveland. Would you go from Miami to Cleveland?
Why not? If I had a chance to be great and be on a great team,
they ended up being great in Miami.
That's right, but
there's nothing wrong with Cleveland. What's wrong with it?
But here's the point. And you just in your analogy, why would you let another person in when you say that you're this?
I'm the man.
But here's the thing. You have never heard Steph Curry say, "I'm the man." You've never heard it.
Everybody
else wants to talk about it. Everybody else wants to talk about that. Everybody else wants that narrative.
Thank you. Mic drop.
Yes. We all want to put that on him. He's never said that. He's never said, "I'm the man." No, we all want to keep putting that narrative out there because it matters to all the talking heads. But Stephen Curry, realizes here's what's key to winning. If I want to win, I have to make the team better. That's why they've been to 5 straight finals. That's why he has as many rings as LeBron James. And LeBron James has been how many times? It's not a knock to LeBron. It's just that his understanding that if the team doesn't win, it doesn't matter how great I am.
And when they don't win again this year, this will be the second time in 3 tries without KD that Steph wasn't able to get there.
Don't forget Clay.
That one game, stop it with the one game of Clay.
And he might
That's
come
going to
back,
negate the whole series.
60%.
One game.
We don't know that. Matched teams is a lie.
Stop.
Every game is important.
If Klay Thompson is healthy, the Warriors will win.
You guys are hoping and wishing.
On that note, we got a break. All right, y'all just like some little
already
pit bulls going at it.
I ain't coming in here and having a Warriors garden party. We're not doing that.
We will have plenty more for you from the Odd Couple and super producer DeVon Franklin next. It's the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. Keep it locked. All right, DeVon, you are a big fan of the Warriors.
Yes.
And you are a very successful person.
Thank you.
So we want to get to this topic, and you're a great person to have on with it. You saw last night at the game, Kyle Lowry goes into the front row of the stands, diving for a loose ball.
Doing his job.
One of the fans shoved him and then cursed at him.
Yeah.
According to Lowry and a few others, he said, what was Gavin? What was it that he said to Kyle Lowry? get the F out of here or something like that. But he cursed.
Go bleep yourself.
Yeah, go bleep yourself. All right. And he turned out to be a minority owner with the Warriors. Now, the league has suspended him
for a year. $500,000.
And fined him $500,000.
Can we say his net worth is $2.3 billion with the B?
What's your take on? I think, and there have been some reports that he'll probably be forced to sell his little stake in the ownership of the Warriors.
He's a minority owner.
But the league said before they handed down their punishment that his stake as a minority owner would not affect how they ruled on this. And with fans in Utah who had altercations with Russell Westbrook verbally, not
physical at all.
They were banned for life. Yeah. So I do think he should lose his stake in the team and be banned for life, because he went further than just
you can't get physical.
Cursing.
You can't get
physical. What's your take?
No. I mean, listen, I agree. I mean, it's shocking. It's one thing if you have a fan who, is just there, caught up in the moment. It's another thing when you have a billionaire who is an owner, who understands protocol, to get so caught up in the moment to do a clear violation. And I think that the league has to come down hard in order to send a message. These players have to be protected.
Right.
That is, and I think
if you're lenient on because the guy's an owner, a billionaire, then it's not going to work with the other fans. They're going to say, well, how come he got off? He was physical. I'm just yelling at a guy.
That's right.
So if you're going to be harsh on them, I think they're painted into a corner.
Absolutely.
Well, they almost have to.
I got to be honest. If they had banned those other fans for 1 year, then I might feel like, okay, they banished him for life.
For life.
And then you give this guy 1 year. What? Why? The only reason is he's an owner.
Right.
That's it. And so, I agree with you.
I agree. I totally agree that it should. I mean, the punishment should fit the crime, and currently the punishment doesn't.
Here's the thing, too. Kyle Lowry handled it superbly, but a lot of times you don't know what somebody's doing, who's pushing. He may have thought it was another player, but he didn't see it, and he could have responded with a punch or something like that. And then,
especially not knowing who's who.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like you don't know who's in the crowd. You have no idea. Nobody sitting there probably thought that guy was a billionaire worth $2.3 billion. You know what I mean? Unless you don't know.
You don't know who he is.
You don't know. But whenever somebody gets physical, that's a slippery slope and a situation where you have to nip it in the bud and let people know you can, just the way they told Drake to sit down and not give a back rub. Don't touch people. You could be enjoying all simple. That, right? Just don't touch people.
And also, he wasn't even next to him.
Right.
He reached over.
Right. He was like two rows from him.
It was. I mean, listen. There's nothing wrong with being a passionate fan, but that was taking it way overboard and crossing a line that they have to come down on him harder.
And you know what else? Just to keep it real, most of the owners, even when you bring in the minority owners and all that, are white.
That's right.
And most of the players are black. And that doesn't look, the league just happens to be mostly black. The black players have been better. It's not like they wouldn't, they purposely did it that way, but it is an optic with the history of this country that looks
without a doubt
funny or not funny, but sad. And when you put on top of that this is an owner saying to one of the players, what was it? Get the bleep out of here. Or, that just heightens that optic already. You know what I mean? That already is there.
But that's also one of the reasons why the Utah why that punishment was so severe, because it was racial.
Right.
Right. And so
get down on your hands and knees.
Oh my goodness. Yep. Yeah. So I think, listen, what the point you're bringing up is right. It's uncomfortable, and the league should just say, we don't stand for this in any regard, owner or not. This is not who we are. It's not who we're going to be. And as a result, the punishment needs to be more severe.
Rob, to your point, because I don't know if you guys saw the story about how the league is considering changing the language of owner. Which we think is that's.
I think that this is a reach to me.
Right, it's a little bit of a reach.
Like they're saying, going back to the slave days, and you shouldn't be called an owner. You should be called a governor or CEO. And I'm like, there's things to fight over, and
the stakeholder.
I'm sorry.
I don't think that's
Am I right?
But the point you made when we talked about it yesterday was that there are bigger battles to fight. And this is it. Adam Silver is interested in changing the language of owner, but when you have a real life situation like this, you go light on the dude.
Right, and that's the problem.
That's the thing. Like, go heavy. Forget changing owner to managing stakeholder.
Right.
But get this dude out of ownership.
Absolutely.
That's what you should do.
Absolutely.
Another thing I would like to touch on with Adam Silver, and I'm not sure if you had heard this, but he's thinking about, because the TV ratings are down for the NBA, and they believe a big part of it is because LeBron plays on the West Coast now. A lot of East Coast people got to go to work, so they can't stay up for a 10:30 start, or they watch a little bit, but they ultimately have to turn it off. But the notion now that they want to start the games earlier on the West Coast, which to me is a direct knock on the ticket-buying fans on the West Coast. You know what I mean? You're going, and they're saying, we only care about the TV audience, not the people who are actually paying money for tickets.
Well, I was touring and traveling quite a bit, during the playoffs, and found myself, on the East Coast during a number of key games. And I will say, I found it startling that the games were that late.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't have to go to work the next day. I'm, doing on a press tour, so it's a little different. But if I had, a 9 to 5, it's very, very
even
hard.
If you try,
if you
watch it, you might fall asleep.
But I get it.
I would sacrifice the audience in
so basically
the arena
basically
for the
TV
larger
show.
audience.
Really? So you're fine.
You're all right with
about
that.
6
for
or
sure,
6:30,
without a doubt.
Wow,
without a doubt. Because I think I know for certain the West Coast audience will adjust.
But we saw this with the NFL with Monday Night Football. Remember when they moved the game to 8:00 at night,
right?
And then people on the West Coast were like, dude, that's 5:00. I'm just getting off.
Mm-hmm.
I can't even get home to watch the game, or you're not giving me. And eventually they moved it back to 9:00 Eastern because of the uproar from people on the West Coast. I'm just thinking,
but I
if
think
I paid for tickets, I go to work, and the game's at 6:00, I can't get there.
It's easy.
You don't believe that story by Paul Pierce, or
No.
do you?
I think
he said it on TV last night. Do you know what
He did. He said to go to the bathroom.
I think he was joking.
But the only thing I thought that was really weird, and I'll be honest, is I said to myself, even when it happened, you can't leave the arena in a wheelchair and come back to play.
But if you look,
do you know what I'm saying?
It
doesn't. You're in a wheelchair,
so you believe it?
I just think it never made sense to me. You couldn't have been that hurt to return.
Here's the thing. If you look at the film of that, first of all, when he went down, he was in anguish, and he's holding his knee. Like, he didn't look like, I just got to use the bathroom. He looked like he was really hurt. And, look, sometimes you can...
I've looked like that after a full sack of White Castles. I'm telling you.
If you didn't know DeVon, and we're joined in studio by DeVon Franklin, the famous film, TV producer, and best-selling author. Rob wants to do stand-up comedy.
Yes.
He's got one problem, though.
What's the problem?
He's not funny.
That's not funny.
He thinks he's funny, but nobody else does.
Kawhi thinks I'm funny.
I'm funnier than him. I'm not even trying to be funny.
But you know what? He don't have to necessarily be funny as long as he got people writing funny stuff for him.
There you
go.
go.
Okay.
If he can deliver it, he's going to be all right.
I got to be. The delivery's the key.
There you go.
Now, you did, your latest movie was Breakthrough.
Yeah.
Which I saw it. It was tremendous. And based on a true story, that was really what floored me. Like, wow, this was true. Great movie. I recommend it to anybody out there, not just because you're in the studio. I went to see it myself.
He was raving about it when he came back.
And a lot of it was based around basketball. Steph was the executive producer, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, like we had Leon, the actor, in here last week or a couple weeks ago, and he was in a movie about Isaiah Thomas's life, and he got to play ball with Isaiah Thomas. Wow. And believe it or not, he actually, according to him, they played to 10 or 11, right?
Yeah.
Make it, take it. He got the ball first. Of course, Isaiah Thomas going to wipe him out.
Yeah.
He scored the first 8 points, Leon. So he's up 8-0.
Thinking, all right.
Right. He said he's bigger than Isaiah, so he backed him down and just put layups on. So he's up 8-0. So then he gets cocky, shoots a jumper.
No, don't be shooting no jumpers.
Done.
Misses.
That's it.
Isaiah gets a rebound and scores the next 11
That's
points.
it.
That's because he got cocky.
He was
You know
feeling
that,
himself.
yeah.
So did you shoot at all or play anything with Steph or anything like that?
No, we didn't get a chance to play. I did when we had the first cut of the film. I flew up there and screened it for him. And Aisha and Jerron and Eric who work with him. And, he does have this golf simulator. So he was, kind of walking me through golf.
Right.
Which is really,
right.
that's where he's going as soon as he
Do you think he'll try to, because people think like he's the best NBA golfer. But people think that if he didn't play basketball and just focused on golf, he actually could probably make the PGA Tour.
I mean, I think his level of passion, again, from what I've seen of him, I think that's what he loves it. That's what he loves.
I'm not surprised that he didn't play you. He didn't have Clay or KD with him. So he's not going to play you without a slack D.
The slander. Is it like that?
See what I deal with every day?
Yeah, you're right. He ain't going to make it in stand-up. He barely making it in radio.
Wow. No. Right. Thank you. Yet another mic drop. My goodness.
We didn't.
I'm taking a beat.
Yeah, that's right. So no, we didn't play. Hopefully one of these days. But it was more like talking about the movie, talking about our plans and all that good stuff. So
now in the movie, you had a scene where they talked about who's the GOAT, LeBron or Michael Jordan. And we talked about that when you were a guest on the radio. You said Michael Jordan, so we don't have to go there. But I brought up, and Rob and I have debated this, I feel like Steph is the greatest small player of all time. I have him just slightly above Isaiah Thomas, the legend.
And I can't go past Isaiah because Isaiah beat Bird, Magic, and Michael Jordan all in their prime without another top 50 player on their roster. Joe Dumars is a great player. He's in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying that he didn't have anybody, but I'm just saying to beat those three guys, and if it wasn't for that phantom foul and they didn't win up against the Lakers, that Pistons team led by Isaiah Thomas would have won 3 in a row. That's how good he was. And he also, and not that it matters or not, but he also won a national championship at Indiana.
No, he was. He was
Isaiah
a baller. Was phenomenal.
I think when history gets done, we can't even debate this because the facts will speak for themselves.
Even if he loses the finals this year?
I mean, hold on one second. How many times has the L word came up here? Not loser, but LeBron. How many times? His name in this conversation, multiple times. How many times has he lost in the finals?
Well, we all know that. We count that against him, don't we?
But you do, but you don't.
But you still recognize his greatness.
So
because I think
it doesn't matter if Steph loses, it's not an indictment on his greatness. He's great. He has fundamentally changed the game.
But you would admit this. You would admit this, and I think Chris would. If he were able to win this one without KD after winning the last two, it would boost him. Because the last time we saw him leading the Warriors team, they choked down a 3-1 lead. And it's never been done in the NBA Finals. You guys can act like it didn't happen.
But you have to also let's look at come on, let's really analyze what happened.
But when we talk about the greatest,
but the absence of Draymond over something that
was one game.
That was
a pivotal, huge game.
They still had two more games.
Questionable though.
They still had two more games.
You know that the NBA is a league built on momentum. Period. And you can do one thing that disrupts a team's momentum, and it becomes very hard, especially when you're playing against one of the greatest players.
That 73-win team had never lost more than 2 games in a row, and they lose 3 in a row to lose the championship. But
here's the thing, Rob.
2 of those games were at home.
Would you rather
That's a choke
lose?
Job.
Look, you don't bring up when Kevin Durant, just the series before, choked down a 3-1 lead in the Western
Conference. I talk about that, but
Finals.
it's never been done in the finals.
I would rather do it in the finals than in the round before.
Would you really?
Yeah,
but
because
the first
at least
time
I
ever?
got to the finals.
But that's the whole point. The whole point about Steph's greatness does if he loses, wins, whatever. It's not an indictment on his greatness. History will record that he fundamentally changed the game fundamentally. And when you look at how that resonates on the game of basketball, He has taken the game of basketball.
Will Chamberlain fundamentally changed
And
the game
he's
of
viewed as an
basketball?
all-time great.
And then people don't even talk about him that much. You know they don't.
The record book is the biography of Will Chamberlain.
Will Chamberlain's name does not come up that much. It just doesn't.
But when you
Who
really
we have the
does from
conversation
that era, though.
But I'm
Really?
just saying. But he changed the game, right? Why don't we talk about him? Because he didn't win enough. That's why we don't talk
But
about him.
Steph has been he's
already
Steph has
won as
already
much
been
as-
to 4 finals.
I'm just saying.
And he's won 3.
But if he loses
He's won
this,
more than Will
if he
Chamberlain.
loses this one and never wins again, people will look differently at Steph. That's all
He's
I'm saying.
won as
what I
many
will
as
say-
Larry Bird.
But what
Rob.
I will say, if people look differently at Steph, it's not because of what he has accomplished. It's because of how people are looking at it. At the end of the day, if he were to retire right now, what he has accomplished,
He'd be the best small player
There's
ever.
very
Yeah.
few people in the
No
history
way.
of the game that have done what he's
I
done.
can't do that. I
All
can't
right,
go there.
look, we